Welcome in, everyone. It's Saturday morning here in California, but in Hungary, I have no idea what time it is because I'm American and I don't know these things. Welcome in to AOR rFactor 2, Season 2 of the Formula 1 Championships. I'm Curtis Kenyon, otherwise known as NinjaRider. And we'll be taking you through round 8 of the AOR rFactor 2 Formula 1 Championships. This track has been absolutely tough on the drivers. The groove is really just not rubbering in all that well. Qualifying has started, and I don't know why we don't have scoring on the screen. I apologize profusely for that, but I will do my best to fix that as we go. I can also give a link to... Well, that's actually gone down too, so I have no idea what the times are. Great! And, of course, everything just goes. It all goes to heck. Well, I will do my best to get things sorted here. Meanwhile, we'll just show you some footage here as we go. Well, there you go, guys. That's practice or qualifying 1. A couple of drivers still going through, but it looks like Kieran Chadwick has actually grabbed pole from Sergio Ras, with Philip Kraus coming through in 3rd place. Followed by Sam Carpenter, Brandon O'Hinland, Jukka-Pekka Laulu, Danov Brantholm grabs a 7th. Matthew Klipp grabs an 8th. Mac Shepard with a 9th. And Tom Lamberts with a 10th, at least according to this. I am currently attempting to get the tower running. Unfortunately, I may not be able to get that going, so this might be an interesting race. I apologize, guys. I thought this was all set up. This is not acceptable at all, but I'll do my best. Qualifying 2 is just about to get underway. I believe there was a disconnect there for Craig Baxter, who is definitely feeling racy. At least he was this morning when we were speaking in the pre-race festivities. Meanwhile, the guys are getting ready to go out for qualifying number 2 to determine the top 10 of this race. The Hungaroring, probably one of the harder tracks that the drivers visit during the F1 season. A very kind of a, I want to say like a flowing and undulating track. There's a lot of elevation changes, but it's very tough on the tires. We're taking a look here at, I believe that is Kieran. Yeah, that's Kieran. And a gaggle of cars. Just kind of take a look at the championship standings real quick. Craig Baxter leads the way, 23 points over Sergi Haras. If Baxter can get back in during warm-up, he'll be able to start from the back, and he'll have quite the run, because this track is very tough to pass on, as you can see right there. Very, very tough to get around. The Sabres all bundled up around these two drivers. That's Kieran and I believe Brandon O'Hinland? No. Unfortunately, when that team joined, they had a stock, one of the AOR stock cars. So don't know exactly who that is. Let's take a look at Kieran. Let's have a bit of an onboard here. Looks like the groove is starting to come in. Slamming it to 6th, nailing the line. Wow. Coming here for the chicane. Just clips the inside there. He'll make his way. A bit of a longer chicane, if you will. Switchbacks. A lot of switchbacks here at the Hungaroring. We come up here on the slowest corner. Down to 3rd. As I call it, the slowest corner. And these here. I call that corner the slowest corner because it feels like you're going so slow after absolutely speeding your way through the rest of the track. Slams on the DRS and crosses the finish line, and we have no idea what the time is because the timing went down. And Brandon O'Hinland coming out of the pits. He'll be on an outlap. Just warming the tires up, trying to get a feel for the track. Track is constantly changing. Looks like he's come out on softs. We have, I'm sorry, that's going to be super softs. So we're going to have softs, super softs, and ultras today for the drivers to play with. I would assume that most drivers are going to try to qualify on ultras and start the race, get a few laps in, jump on to just regular soft, and go for as long as they can, possibly for a ultra soft towards the end. Gonna be tough. There's a lot of conflicting opinions on that topic. Just kind of catching up on the chat here. Scott Davison has a back of grid for allocating his tires late. And then Danny here, pit lane start. Ouch. Yeah, this track is going to be very, very tough to pass on. It can be done, but there have been some aerodynamic changes to try to mitigate the dirty air, at least make it easier to drive. The problem is that the slipstream has kind of gone away as well. So as this Vulcan car goes on his flyer, already smoking tire all over the place. Softs last around 12 laps. Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. I'll be honest with you, in my little practice sessions, I was kind of just going for speed and trying to nail the braking points and try to figure out that stuff. There are a few lines to get around the track here, but obviously as this rubber's in, most of that is going to go away. I mean, it's just going to be faster to just stay on the line. It's a matter of who will be brave enough to attempt a pass. This kink right here is definitely a dangerous spot as you head your way down the hill. You could potentially set up for something, but it's just so sketchy. You really don't want to mess that up. The front end washes out very easily at this track, and you really have to set up for the back end. And anybody who's really smooth on the throttle and can nail those throttle inputs will do well here. So people like Sergio Arras, who we're looking at, or maybe a Craig Baxter, Philip Kraus possibly. And just a bit of a note on Phil, he has been feeling fairly ill for the last few days, so he is here. He wants to start the race just to, make sure that he is shown. Let's go ahead and have a look at Phil right now. He's sitting third. The Sabre car actually leading the Constructors' Championship at this point. Sabre on top of Defiance, Sergi right behind them. Only 40 points separate the top three, so they have a lot to get through here. I saw that 12 lap comment in the chat. I think regular softs will last a little longer than that. Honestly. But yeah, we're definitely going to have to make some adjustments to this broadcast. A few things, unfortunately, have gone awry, so I apologize profusely. I don't know exactly what has happened here, but I will do my best to try to make it happen. But we should be winding down. So we make our way through the top 10 qualifier shootout here. I like to call it a shootout. This will be the last lap here, Phil. Trying to see if he can best his third place time. Last one out on the track. He actually nabs second place from Kieran. So Craig Baxter has made his way back out onto the track. And your order here for the Hungarian Grand Prix will be Sergi Haras, Phil Kraus, Kieran Chadwick, Craig Baxter, Sam Carpenter, Brandon O'Henlin, Jukka-Pekka Laulu, Danov Branthome with an 8th place. Fantastic showing there. Mac Shepard in 9th, and Matthew Klipp makes it into the top 10, and he does stay at 10th. Right, on to warm-up then. The entrance to the pits here is a little bit tricky. You're on the outside. You're on the racing line as you start to slow down and line yourself up to make your way into the pits. It will be, well, if you have somebody behind you, it'll be very interesting. Try to make your way to the pits and not get rear-ended. But it will be, well, let's just face it. It's going to be kind of tough for these drivers here at the Hungaroring. Hungaroring actually opened in 1986. Has pretty much always hosted the Formula One World Championship. Done lots of other racing. A lot of bikes. I can only imagine the scream of bikes running through the Hungarian hills here just outside Budapest. So there's a 10-minute warm-up. They do have to sort the starting order. So everybody's just kind of hanging out at this point. Just waiting for the word to get out there and have a look. Craig Baxter is leading the championship right now. Sergi Haras is 23 points behind him. So Craig Baxter at this point just needs to finish, and he'll still be ahead of Sergi there. I would assume there's going to be a battle for the lead, and Sergi has a long way to go. If Baxter keeps finishing in 2nd place, I believe he can potentially secure this, but it is definitely not secure. It's still wide open for, well, basically the top 5. Sergi sitting in 2nd place, did take a win at Silverstone last week. And unfortunately, we were not able to get the broadcast up for that. Phil Kraus sitting in 3rd place has been very consistent in his finishing. DNF'd once because of that was an odd happening. I think that was back in China, but it's basically finished 4th or greater the rest of the season. 94 points there in 3rd place, 51 points back from Craig. Brandon O'Henlin sits 4th place. Again, very consistent. Had 2 6th places actually, but has not cracked into the middle or the top step of the podium this season. 75 points there in 4th place. Sam Carpenter in 5th. Has had a couple of bad races and a DNF. Well, 1 bad race and a DNF. Looks like no points. I believe that's Baku right there. No, it's China. China, unfortunately. Had a rough go at it. 68 points there for 5th place. Kieran Chadwick has missed a couple of races, has had 2 DNFs, but 2 thirds and a 2nd put him at 48. So that's good enough for 6th place for now. It sounds like cars are out on the track. Let's go ahead and have a look. Sergi will be your pole position. Noah Chill is sitting in 7th place now. I did not see his name on the list of drivers here, so he's not going to be able to make it. He's probably going to drop here. Matthew Klipp sitting in 8th. Fixer, no. So 7th and 8th are actually tied right now. Matthew Klipp has finished all the races and has started all the races and has been fairly consistent, getting top 10s, doing well, and just staying right there and really giving Noah Chillo a run for his money. Somehow the points just kind of worked out that way. Jukka-Pekka Laulu with a DNF at Silverstone. And he has missed one race, so he's sitting at 24 points. Mac Shepard, a DNF and a 15th, unfortunately, but he has been in the points the rest of the way, so he sits 10th with 14 points. And a few other drivers really have had, well, let's just say not spectacular races and have kind of missed a lot of races and unfortunately find themselves out of the top 10 in the points. Right. The Hungaroring, honestly, it's a tough track. I mean, it really is a driver's track. You do have to have the setup, I mean, properly done. If your setup is off and you are just slightly uncomfortable with whatever is going on, it'll mess with your head and you'll just back off on every corner and you'll just consistently lose time. Oh, excuse me. The 12-lap prediction in the chat, unfortunately, I have to disagree with for regular softs. Now, the super softs, I could see that if you really push them that hard, but I really don't think so. The other Defiance car, Liam Mangan, came into the series a little late. You can see him practicing his pit entry. Very tight corner to get in there. He has had issues over the first few races, famously slamming into the pit wall at Baku. Famously, honestly. He laughs about it now, but yes. If you haven't seen that, check out the AOR YouTube channel. That particular race was round 3 of, it was round 2, yes. I have to double check now. I'm losing track. I'm losing my mind trying to get this tower fixed. Unfortunately, I am having quite the hard time doing that. So, but yes, he has been steadily improving under the tutelage of Craig Baxter. At this point, he's trying to just remain consistent, and you can see he is struggling today. Spinning out there in front of another car. Kieran in the Zesty Oranges Racing Squad vehicle. Looking for a great finish here. The team principal, Zach Jones, not here today. Unfortunately, he had to work, so he will not be joining us in the commentary booth. So grab a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, or a, adult beverage of your choice, and a seat. Hopefully we'll have a little bit of fun watching some awesome action here at the Hungaroring. And a lot of drivers are saying there may not be a whole lot of passing. Every time someone says that in this series, there's a whole lot of passing. So it really will come down to how brave the drivers are feeling when it comes race time, which should be here in just a couple of minutes. But qualifying, yeah, definitely very important. And really, the qualifying position there of Craig Baxter put him in 4th place. The championship leader was looking to try to qualify as best as he can, and he really felt like he had at least a 2nd place car. So I do know that his setup allows, or didn't really allow for a lot of creativity when it comes to nailing those corners. And I know that he wanted to try to just go as fast as possible, but he had to be able to just make it around the track. And honestly, was having a bit of a rough go this morning during the practice sessions. So finds himself in 4th place. I have a touch of traffic in front of him, but really very fast guys in front of him. So he might actually be okay. Maybe be able to save a little bit of fuel, but like I said before, the aerodynamics have changed. And the slipstream is just not as effective at all. So we'll come down to how he can manage that traffic. We'll go ahead and have a look at Craig right now, as he's kind of just practicing his launches and messing with Kieran a little bit, I'm sure. The warm-up is always an interesting time for drivers because they want to relax. They want to just kind of get into that race mode, get back used to their racing setups. And, you know, play a little mind games, maybe? Kieran is starting in front of Craig, so actually right next to him, I should say. So the the mind games begin here in Hungary. I want to thank you all for joining us today. Unfortunately, most of our streaming features are not active. Like I said, I am having technical issues getting everything working. Unfortunately, I don't know why our tower is not showing on the screen, but we'll get that sorted as soon as possible. And yes, I am alone in the caster's booth and in the streaming as well. So as everybody kind of makes their way back to the pits, the race will begin here very, very shortly. Take a short break, and we'll be ready for the start.
Nothing is guaranteed, such a thin line in between. Colder than ice when you're next to me. First time we met, I knew I had to make you mine. Couldn't see all the warnings, cause you looked so fine. When I look into your eyes, my heartbeat stops. Live a beautiful life, there's no love. I don't need you. Your love just doesn't feel true, but you're going through my head a lot.
There is the point at which the drivers now have to get into race mode. We will be joining the grid here very shortly for the Hungarian Grand Prix. I'm NinjaRider. I'm going to take you through as best as I can. Sergio Ras starting on the pole. That's not a great camera angle. Phil Kraus starting second place as they take their warm-up lap. In formation, just scope the track out, maybe figure out a little bit of areas where they could potentially challenge for a pass. And like many of the drivers have said, this will be a tough one to crack as the race wears on. You'll definitely want to try to stay as close to your opponents as possible. The problem right now, of course, is that a lot of drivers were saying that the slipstreams were okay, but the dirty air was just very tough to work with at other tracks. So there was some adjustments made to the aero to try to mitigate that as much as possible. And unfortunately, the slipstream has sort of gone away. The cars are just too slippery now. They don't, for some reason, they don't create that pocket of air behind them. They're going to have to be very careful as they go up for a pass. Taking a look at Phil Kraus, who has actually been ill the last few days and for some reason has found himself in second place. Maybe that's the secret. He's just so focused right now. I know he hasn't gotten much sleep the last little bit. But Kieran Chadwick sitting third. Going alongside Craig Baxter. The Zesty Oranges vehicle has had good looks at some great finishes and honestly is doing fairly well in the championships. But he is still hunting for that win. Actually, no, I take that back. He had a win there in round 5 at Monaco. As we begin start line proceedings here. Waiting for everybody to get on the grid. It looks like everyone is ready to go. Tense moments. The Sabre of Phil Kraus. Just waiting. Looks like someone may not be in the start box completely. 49 laps of the Hungaroring, just about to get underway. And the lights are out. Sergi takes off nicely. Everybody very clean here at the front. A little bit of jostling there in the background as the footbridge gets in the way of the shot. Jostling for position in the back there. Side by side. A little bit of touching there in the backfield. Not too bad. Looks like everybody's gotten away clean so far. A lot of jostling. Liam Mangan trying to make moves in the back. Everybody starting to form up a little bit. Off the track a little bit. Oh, nearly 3 wide. And Liam nearly gets collected there by, I believe that was Nick Brackey and Julian Klingemeyer. Very tough, but back at the front. Sergi taking the lead, and you can see how bumpy some of these braking surfaces are. Craig Baxter has nabbed 3rd place from Kieran Chadwick. Philip Kraus still holding down 2nd place. And Phil's teammate, Sam Carpenter, in 5th. Jostling here, trying to get around Kieran Chadwick. A pass! Just barely off camera. Yeah, Sam could not quite make that happen. Loses a touch of time there to Brandon O'Henlin. The Vulcan Thrive Racing car looking very good here at the start of the Hungarian Grand Prix as the first lap has been completed. Everybody already starting to space out a little bit. 49 laps at this track can be harrowing. High-speed section here. Everyone's still pretty close. Looks like we have a little bit of racing happening towards the back markers. Here's Matthew Klipp. Beautiful livery. Those bumps right there going into the chicane are going to be a little bit tough, because if you are too hard on the brakes, the front end lightens up and the front tires will lock. Just got to time a little bit of a brake pump there. Ran into that myself when I was doing a little bit of practice laps, just trying to refamiliarize myself with this track last night. Got in a few laps and honestly was nowhere near as fast as these guys. Still some jostling in the backfield. So everybody keeping it very close. Taking a look at Julian Klingmeyer. Looks like most of the field are on the Ultras. Back to the leader though, Sergio Raz, looking nicely. And you can see the groove is starting to wear in. A lot of rubber getting on the track. That track will be completely black by the end of the race. Tire wear is a definite concern here. Hasn't really been too bad for the rest of the season. Still had to strategize, but the tire strategy here will definitely be extremely important. And trying to save your fuel will be very important too, as you do kind of get on the gas quite a bit here, trying to go as fast as possible down what comparatively little straights you have. The first sector mostly straights, but honestly you start to wind through the track and you don't find yourself in the higher gears very often. Sergi opening up a little bit of a lead here. Oh, we might have a pass here. Sam Carpenter. Oh, we got sideways through the turn one hairpin. Trying to challenge Brandon O'Henlin. As we go on board, O'Henlin looking a little bit shaky. Sam might be able to work the slipstream here a little bit. Not really. He's just going to stay here. Bangs it down to fifth gear. Trying to keep it stable. Got a little bit messed up there on the Ultra Softs, actually. Good strategy call there from him and Brandon O'Henlin, trying to outlast the leaders on tire strategy. And you can see how treacherous that chicane is. Huge, absolutely huge curbs on the insides there and on the outside of the exit as well. So you have to be careful. It looks like Sam is just going to back off here from now. Scott Davison trying to figure out his way around Julian Klingmeyer. Scott without a ride this year. He did mention earlier in the season that he may not be able to go full time, so he decided to give up his seat. And only come out when he might have some fun. He might have a pass here. Looking at the outside of Klingmeyer. Does make the pass happen, but Klingmeyer will challenge, locks it up a little bit. The over-under. Oh, a little bit of a touch. Sam got the better exit, manages to make the pass happen. Now that was down in 14th place. Scott has a long way to go. He has put the hammer down. He has absolutely left Julian Klingmeyer in the dust. Move over to Craig Baxter, still hanging on here for third place. You can see the drivers using all of the track as much as possible. A little dust will kick up here and there as the outside curbs, they're not very treacherous, but when you get onto that AstroTurf on the outside, it could snap the car around. I've seen that happen a few times during the practice sessions. And just getting on the gas just a little bit too hard, like right there for Kieran. As Chadwick had to run a little bit outside there on the ultimate corner. And it looks like Phil, who I mentioned before, has been feeling a little bit ill, is starting to possibly feel the effects there. Now, Baxter knows this. And so Craig here will probably just remain patient. Try to make a pass happen a little bit later as Mac Shepard, getting into it. I believe that it is Jukka-Pekka Lalu, the Thrive Vulcan car. Getting all worked up. Looks like that race is just quieting down here. You can see Tom Lambert's, the new Sergi Esports driver, hanging on there for 9th place. Not bad. He'll be looking to improve. It doesn't look like the car setup is really favoring him too well at this point, but we'll have to see how that goes. I know that he has been trying some of the things that Sergi Heras has been formulating when working on these cars and trying to get them to drive properly. But just needs a little bit more practice, I think. But honestly, an 8th place, or 9th place, I should say, right now is pretty good for him. Take a look back at the front. Everybody just keeping it kind of chill, actually. Nobody getting too out of shape. And Phil, honestly, with as ill as he was feeling this morning, I am surprised he's been able to hang on here for the last 5 laps or so. And he had said that if he felt like he was a danger to the other drivers, he would pull off and get out of the race. But right now, Baxter, content with just following him, doesn't look like he's trying to make a challenge for the pass at all. And I'll be honest with you, that might be a smart move, all things considered. You try to preserve the championship at this point. Baxter, not really a huge fan of this particular track. This is definitely one of the tracks that he struggles at. So, kind of taking it easy and just making it through the first part of the race might be the perfect thing for him to do at this point. I am impressed, though. Kieran Chadwick is hanging tough here in 4th place, looking very, very spicy indeed. Speaking of spicy indeed, these 3 right here battling for 11th. Matthew Klipp falling down and getting into the clutches of Max Lister, the other Testy Orange's car. But at the same time, Scott Davison right there in that blue AOR stock liveried car. Oh, just goes wide on the entrance of the final corner. Loses a lot of time, but he might be able to get something going here. DRS open. Yeah, brakes very late. Not a dive. He was right next to him. A touch, just a bit of a touch as he faded outside. Max Lister probably thought he had a little bit more room than that. Just barely grazing him. That may not have even happened on their screens. But Davison looking strong right now, marching his way towards the top 10. And he puts Matthew Klipp in his sights as we go on board. Very smooth at the Hungaroring. Oh, clip running on the outside. That's going to allow Davison to close up just a bit. Davison unfazed. You can see the short shift. These engines have a ton of torque and will spin up the tires fairly easily. You see it just happened right there. Try to make a run here. Davison down the front stretch. Clip. Manages to defend well. VD Sport. I'd be happy with his decisions there, but Davison is lurking. He might look at the inside here. Not a good idea. It's kind of forcing the issue here. I'm going to call that server lag. Doesn't look like any damage happened. And I think from there, it will just kind of turn into a little bit of a procession, just trying to make their way through the middle part of this track. Looks like other battles are heating up, though, as Mac Shepard and Tom Lambert's starting to heat up a little bit. Mac, the Thrive Vulcan driver, usually fairly reserved in his style. But he is definitely pushing pretty hard here. Early goings. We've completed 10 laps here at the Hungaroring. And I assume that we're going to be starting to see the leaders into the pits, as it looks like, speaking of the leaders, Chadwick was getting pretty close there to Baxter, but Baxter able to hold him off there. I think that's more or less just the braking zone from turn one. Oh, Baxter going a little bit outside, but he's able to lift off and make it work. Chadwick is right there. It looks like everybody's just going to remain smooth. Keep it chill at this point. Wouldn't call it a procession at all, but looks like some differing lines there in the final corner. Chadwick able to close up through the corner, but Baxter gets the better release down the front stretch. Chadwick having a look. Ooh, Baxter washed out just a little bit. Chadwick stuck it into the corner and manages to make that corner work, but he could not get close enough for a pass. Things will be heating up between them. Baxter needs to just relax. He doesn't want to overheat those tires, but they are probably starting to go away at least. As, yes, Sergi has gone into the pits. Sergi finds himself in 4th place now. Trying to see what lap that was. Yeah, we just missed it, that's all. Now everybody's starting to spread out. Sergi finds himself alone. Let's see what he ended up on. I'm expecting softs. Yes, it is. Now, Sergi has the knack to just save tires like crazy. So I have a feeling that he might be able to go far enough to where he can put some ultra softs back on and make a run towards the end. Now, with him in 4th place, he's going to find himself way out there. But Kraus, oh, this is getting good. Kraus, huge lockup there. As Baxter is actually taking the lead. I missed the lead change. We were talking about Sergi and the pit strategy. But Kraus now challenging for the lead. Oh, Oh, yeah, he's getting a little shaky. Just got on the grass a little bit. Yeah, he's going to have to cut the corner through the sleeping policeman. Checking the car. Now he's side by side with Kieran Chadwick. Kieran going to make it stick on the inside here. Leaves. Oh, it didn't leave much room there for Kraus to recover. But Kraus getting past here. And now Craig Baxter into the lead. Sergi nowhere to be found. And they dive into the pits. Yeah, good move. It looks like Baxter will put the hammer down. Right, 12 laps here for the Ultras. Baxter, I thought he started on Ultras. Did he start on Supers? He did start on Supers. Strategy call here from Craig Baxter, starting on the Supers. Now he finds himself all alone in the lead as we head back to Phil Kraus and Scott Davison now. Davison has made his way up to 5th place. Kraus onto the soft. We'll have to see how long he can make those last. As I mentioned before, not feeling well, so I'll be honest with you, I'm surprised, and I'm pretty sure he's surprised that he's been able to stay on the track this long, but poor man hasn't slept much the last few days, so, and just generally being ill. Everybody knows how that goes, but he is making a show of it for sure. A 4th place for him would be absolutely fantastic in his current state. And everybody is kind of spread out a little bit. O'Henlin and Davison, pretty close. The Vulcan Thrive racing car looking fantastic. Scott Davison poised for a decent finishing order if he can get out of the pits here fairly quickly. Oh, that's not a great way to enter the pits, though. He is on the Super Softs, coming into the pits here after 13, 14 laps. What? Oh, Baxter went into the pits, and Sergi's caught him. Now Kraus is all over Baxter. Craig running a little wide there. And Sergi literally surging into the lead. Front end shaking of Kraus, but he manages to side by side up here for the first turn and keep it there on the outside. Baxter battling hard. Oh, they touch a little bit. Kraus able to make his way past Baxter. I don't think there was any damage. If any, it was minimal between the two. Oh, going wide. Baxter nearly ramming into him. This is an insane race for 3rd and 4th place as Chadwick is starting to just gap him. I can only imagine what is going on underneath the helmets of these two. Looks like Baxter is just going to let it go. Both of them are on the soft, so it's not like there's a pit strategy that can happen here. Baxter's just going to line up Kraus here. looks like. But Kraus, honestly, just found a ton of speed. He's been able to gap Baxter. But Kraus was looking very shaky there, trying to make that pass. So I don't know if he's having some wheel issues or there is a touch of damage and it's just shaking the front end of the car around. Is Baxter running wide there? 10th place here, Scott Davison making his march through the field, looking to overtake Max Shepard, the other Thrive car. Mac trying the outside. Sorry, that was Scott trying the outside. Mac just holding his line, doing a fantastic job of defending his position. Check back in with Baxter and Kraus for 3rd place. I thought Baxter might go for a pass. He's trying to position himself to get a little bit closer there for the front stretch, it looks like. Oh, man. Kraus is having a hard time on the gas. Once Kraus gets starting to come out of a corner, one of the slower corners, he just looks like he's spinning up the tire a little bit. Could be frying up those rears, but Baxter looking on the inside as Kraus defends, cuts in early, rounds out the corner. That is such a treacherous corner there. You have to hold your breath making your way through. The front end constantly wants to wash out. It's off camber. The mechanical grip that you must have in the car has to be severe almost. I just saw your guys' chat. I'm very sorry. Like I said, I'm trying to run this alone. Apologies. But you're looking at the leader right now. Sergio Arras has made his way back to the lead through pit stops and honestly is just taken off. Unfortunately, my timing is out. It's just flat out not working, so I don't know all the timing as far as distance. All I know is he's gone. Kieran Chadwick sitting in 2nd place. We'll kind of just go through the field. How about that? Zesty Orange's car looking fantastic and honestly very well under control, but you can see in the background there Kraus and Baxter for 3rd and 4th place have been battling here for the last few laps. Bit of a treacherous pass made there by Kraus on Baxter, and Baxter just kind of let him go a little bit. The Sabre Racing machine looking a little bit unstable. Oh, Baxter looks to the inside. That was tough. That was very tough. I wouldn't do that. Yikes. Baxter is the one sitting in 4th place, though, as they make their way through the chicane. Brandon O'Henlin rounding out the top 5. Pretty strong race for him right now. And Jukapeka Lalu sitting in 6th. VRT gotta be sitting pretty good right now. I mean, 6th place for them would be very strong. I'm trying to also keep up on the battles. Tom Lambert's the new Sergi driver. Unfortunately, his livery wasn't quite ready. Oh, running way outside there. Might be a little bit of a battle brewing here as well, as he's under pressure from Mac Shepard in 8th and Scott Davison in 9th. This 8th place battle could be hotting up a bit. Mac Shepard in the other Thrive car. That's basically your top 10 right there. Everyone else is kind of spread out a little bit. Notables right now, Sam Carpenter in 11th. He's started way back. I believe he started from straight out the back of the grid. He's managed to make his way up to 11th. You can see him in frame there. He is followed very closely by Matthew Klipp. Actually, I'm sorry, that's Max Lister behind him. We're looking at Matthew Klipp right now. Let me see here. There's Matthew Clip. Scott Davison sitting in 9th. Yeah, Matthew Clip in 10th. And Sam Carpenter. There you are. The other Sabre car. Like I said, my timing is a little bit messed up, so I'm trying to do what I can with, unfortunately, with the camera controls. And sometimes it jumps around a little bit, so I apologize, everyone. We are having technical issues, but doing the best we can here. Try to bring you as much Formula One action as we can this weekend here at AOR. Guys, be sure to tune in for the rest of the weekend, as in just a few hours we will be having the Australian round of the AOR F1 World Championship through the F1 2018 game. I will have a look and see what round they are on this time. They're also on round 8, but it's a different track. Silverstone, I believe, is the track, so the British Grand Prix coming up there for our sister league. Trying to see if timing and scoring will come up for us here as we take a look at this battle. "20 laps have been completed at this juncture, and still Kraus and Baxter battling it out here for the bottom step of the podium. Looks like there has been some lapped traffic. I believe that would be Rasmus Augustin, and it looks like Liam Mangan, the other Defiance car, the purple and black, crashing it. Now Liam has been having issues at this track. It's just not coming to him, and this is his first season here. He's definitely got the speed, he's got the talent. He's just got to get used to this car, and these tracks are very tough. So unfortunate for him. I know he was having wheel issues, if I heard that correctly. There were a couple of people having wheel issues this morning, trying to sort all that out. Whoa, getting a little sideways there. That was Philip Kraus in 3rd place. Just trying to hold off the 4th place contender there in Craig Baxter. Oh, we might have a pass here. Up alongside, a little bit of a lockup. Oh, the lockup just sends Craig Baxter right into Kraus. Kraus trying to get the place back. He might do it here on the outside if it doesn't wash out. Baxter washing out a little bit, and Phil able to hold it. He could not make the pass happen. That sets him up roughly there for the exit there onto this long straight towards the kink. And that will probably decide it as Philip Kraus goes down. There's a spinning car. So head back to the 8th place battle. Scott Davison looking up the outside. And Lambert's trying to get himself around a lap car, which I didn't quite see that was in the DRT. And that would be, that's Mads Jensen. This is trying to happen here. Scott just trying to hold the line, gain a little bit of time here and there, stay within DRS range as well. The problem is, right now at least, is that Mac is also in DRS range here of Tom Lambert's. And you can see Scott is actually being held up here. Short shift, and on. The drag race begins. So much speed. Just gonna drive around him the inside. Oh, a touch there. Mac Shepard and Matthew Klipp now. That's going to hot up as Scott trying to close up on Tom Lambert's. But Scott Davison firmly into the top 10 now, starting from the back of the grid. Might have a race here. Sam Carpenter trying to make his way into the top 10. He's sitting 11th. Also getting a little bit sideways. It really does look like the Sabre cars haven't quite found that rear end grip that they're looking for. Now the car does need to be set up a little bit loose for this track. Just a touch. Just kind of rotate the car around. But the moment the Sabres get on the gas, it looks like they're just having issues. Not a lot of rear end grip for the forward thrust that they need to be as quick as possible. And see, oh, what in the world? Matthew Klipp nearly running right into Mac Shepard. Mac definitely having some issues. Yeah, he's going to dive into the pits. Looks like it's tire time for him. Those were the softs. So he made them last quite a long time. Scott Davison's made his way around Tom Lambert's. That's going to put Scott into 7th place. So checking on your leader, Sergi Haraz. So smooth. Let's go for a lap. Sector 1's so important to nail here at the Hungaroring. And after this, it really just comes down to the flow. You have to have the flow of the track. And with the rubber being laid down, it's a little bit easier to just kind of track your way through. Off the gas, still in 6th gear. Nice and smooth. This track really rewards a driver that can be as smooth as possible at all times. I have no idea by how much he is leading, but it does a lot. I don't think... Let's see here. Alright, so he's coming up here on this bend. And Baxter is coming out of turn 1. So at this juncture, Sergi should need to pit at least once. Baxter would definitely need to pit. And O'Henlin quite a ways behind Baxter at this point. Philip Kraus has dropped to 5th, and remember he was having some issues trying to get the car to handle correctly. So oh, we might have a race here. Tom Lambert's on Matthew Klipp at this point. We're looking at 8th and 9th. Tom having a great showing here today at the Hungaroring as he has replaced Sergi's teammate. Oh, he just clipped the inside there. That sent him to the outside. But he's definitely looking racy. He's looking for his first set of points, I believe, this season. Has had a few races this season, if I'm not mistaken. And he hasn't really looked too good, but now he's under the tutelage of Sergi Haras, and now looking very good. So obviously put in some time. I have to admit, I am impressed. 9th place for now here with 22 laps to go. We'll keep an eye on him. But now everybody is kind of just spread out a little bit. Scott Davison, though, the big mover from the back of the grid up to 7th place. If he can keep it together, he might be able to get a pass there on Brandon O'Henlin, who is a little ways up the road. It's all going to come down to that pit strategy. And as the race winds down, that pit strategy has become ever more important. Looks like we had a spinner. That was the green. Let's see who that was, if we can figure that out. Yeah, Evan Rice. Looks like he is having some issues. Pedals are working. Ah, he blew the transmission. You can hear the engine running, but unfortunately that transmission is gone. This is actually the second spinner of that corner. Probably bumped the inside of that kink and gonna hop the tire up. Maybe some suspension damage there or a shaft. They come out of place. Fortunately, the only information I have is a DNF. But yeah, if you're bumping the curbs, especially right here that Sergi's going through, if you're bumping the curbs a lot, it will break the car. And I'm sure Philip knows all about that as he went over the sleeping policeman on the inside of one of those chicanes. Tom into the pits, grabbing some softs. And he should be good for the rest of the race. 21 laps to go. Scott Davison also came into the pits. At least it looks like it. O'Henlin and Lalu. That's Vulcan. Or Thrive Vulcan, if you will. On Lalu right there. Can't quite make it happen. Let's go on board. Setting up here for the front stretch, running wide and then getting that late apex. Trying to get some straight line speed. A little bit, actually a lot of help from the DRS. The VRT there stood no chance. Lalu, can he make it happen here on the first corner? Doesn't look like he will not have DRS. And so O'Henlin will secure that spot. O'Henlin now moving up into the top 5. Jukabeka Lalu is looking very strong here, but it looks like those tires are starting to go away. He's had to slow down quite a bit. Be expecting him into the pits here very soon. This is Lalu's teammate. Might be able to give him a little bit of a tow here. He is going much slower, and he's actually going to hold up his teammate. Here, of course, Lalu will not crash into his teammate. I hope not, at least. As Tom Lamberts, I should say, and Nick Brackey starting to hot up just a little bit. Nick in the standard green. Doesn't look like he's going to make it happen in this sector. Keeping an eye on a couple of battles here. This is the battle for 12th place. Baxter has actually come into the pits. He's now sitting 4th. It looks like Nick Brackey and Tom Lamberts have been battling for quite some time. A couple of position changes that we've missed just a couple of minutes ago, actually. Sergi also into the pits. Has come out on the soft, so he will make it to the end easily with 19 to go. Soon to be 18, and Kieran Chadwick finds himself in the lead at this juncture. Another pit caller there. But Kieran is out on the super softs. Seen a couple of battles heat up a little bit. We're just seeing some passes here as people come in and out of the pits. But Scott Davison and Jukka-Pekka Laulu still battling it out here for 6th place now. Baxter finds himself in 4th. I believe that is a fresh set of softs. Yes, it is. 3rd place finds Philip Kraus, who's honestly having a great race. All things considered, this is fantastic. Sergi finds himself in 2nd place, but he has Kieran Chadwick, the leader, in his sights. And hopefully, for Sergi's sake at least, he has not burned out too much fuel. I know Chadwick has been kind of hanging back. I don't think he's really been challenging too much, just trying to manage the gap between himself and the leader, and he finds himself in the lead now. The question is, will he go ahead and crank up the volume to make it his race? Let's face it. And it would be quite the feat for him to beat such a well, I want to say skilled here for Sergi Harass. I almost said just flat out fast, but there's a lot of skill that goes into the strategy that Harass has as he makes his way around the penultimate corner here for, well, there's going to be 16 laps to go. We're nearing the final stages of this Hungarian Grand Prix. Bit of jockeying here. Still Scott Davison and Jukka-Pekka Laulu have been racing back and forth here for the last few laps now. We have Sam Carpenter and Mac Shepard starting to tear into each other a bit. Oh, back to Scott. Oh, he just hopped the corner there. Can't be doing that. Laulu, though, has been keeping his head down, just running his race. Not worried about it. A good finish for him. And VRT would be fantastic in the points race. This is basically the closest race on the track at the moment. Sam Carpenter, though, and Max Shepard starting to hot up. The next moment, it's this one. And then, a couple of seconds later, it's the other one. It's kind of the way it goes here at the Hungaroring. But honestly, Sam Carpenter looking very nice here. The Sabre versus the Vulcan battle for 8th place. Trying to get as many points. Oh, big lockup there by Max Shepard. But he will be able to hold on to the position. I don't know how long, though. I don't think that flat spotted his tires too much. There might be a little bit of a wheel shake coming through the force feedback, though. But Sam just biding his time. Putting a lot of pressure here on Mac. And Mac has been locking up more. He's trying to break a little later. Oh, he might look for the inside here. Sam. Now he's going to have DRS, but he didn't take the late apex line to try to get as much straight lane speed. And Max Shepard looking very strong there. We see a lapped car. He's And Mac, oh, he dived, went to the inside, but Sam couldn't make the move happen. Just braked way too late. Oh, brilliant move there by Max Shepard, able to just fake out a Sam Carpenter there. Brilliant move. I'm actually sitting here watching with bated breath. This battle has been going on for quite some time, and I've been kind of trying to keep an eye on it as best I can. I only have small indicators to kind of show me what exactly is going on, but passes were registered. They didn't stick between both of these guys. It's still... It's Kieran Chadwick leading the way. Sergi looks like he's starting to catch him a little bit more, just chipping away at it. Baxter now in third. As he head back to Sam Carpenter and Mac Shepard. Sam getting all out of sorts there, coming out of turn one. Mac leaving the door open a little bit, going for that late apex, and Sam electing to just round out the corner on the inside. Sam just trying to find every centimeter that he can gain. So we move up to Scott Davison and Jukapeka Lailu here for 7th and 6th place. Jukapeka holding down 6th place so far, but Scott, I should say, has been chipping away at it. And again, the big mover here as Sergi is starting to catch Kieran Chadwick. Could be seeing a change for the lead here if Chadwick can't hold on. Now Chadwick has those super soft tires, I assume. They are going away. Scott Davison and Jukapeka Lailu battling it out again in that first corner. Looked like there was a bit of a touch there, but now they're side by side. Coming into turn 2. It's not going to stick. Scott just can't make this move stick. For some reason, front end just keeps washing out. Hard to tell if it's an aero thing or if it's just a car setup. And Sergi Arras actually makes the change for the lead here as Kieran Chadwick dives into the pits. Sergi just waiting for that moment to happen. Now Craig Baxter takes over 2nd place. Kieran Chadwick slots into 3rd. Brandon O'Hanlon will be looking. Chadwick now out on the track. As Mac Shepard Scott Davison, that's the move we were looking for here. Mac Shepard was under attack there earlier, and it's Scott Davison now. Looking at Jukapeka Lailu. I believe there may have been a spin. Unfortunately, we missed that there. Trying to keep track of the leaders. There goes Mac. Yeah, he must have had a spin. And he's going to go into the pits here. Dan of Brantham sitting in 11th. The team that must not be named. Not having a great race, honestly. Danov, I thought, might have a good one. He had decent qualifying. Unfortunately, it just didn't quite happen. As, again, everyone kind of spread out here. Coming up here on 10 laps to go. It's 11 at this point. And Sergi has a fairly commanding lead here. He's going to turn 2. Maybe not commanding. Baxter could still potentially catch him, but Sergi is just so consistent. I don't know if that'll actually happen here as Philip Kraus now is caught up to Brandon O'Hanlon. Kraus has made it this far. Why not go for it? It's got the DRS. Going to the inside. O'Hanlon will let him go. Might wash out here, though, as Kraus now finds himself in 4th place. He made his way back up. Sabercar just trying to salvage some points out of this, as many as they can at least, because they are leading the championship. But I believe with this finishing order, well, Baxter won't overtake him, or the Defiance cars won't overtake him, that's for sure. At least in the team championship, because of the fact that there's another Saber car in this. That's right, Sam Carpenter. Actually, Sam is sitting in 11th at this juncture. With 10 laps to go, though, you might be able to catch Danov Brantham, who is now in 10th place in the team, who must not be named vehicle. We'll have to see if that will happen here. Scott Davison and Jukapeka Lalu still battling it out. This is for 6th place here. Scott looks like he is starting to have some issues here with the tires. He might have just fried him up battling before. We'll see if he's able to make it to the end, as we will have a 9 to go here very soon. Matthew Klipp and Tom Lamberts. VT Sport. Okay, he's going to open the DRS, try to catch him up a little bit. Tom, you know, he's sitting in 8th, which is a great race for him, but he has been having some issues still. Still trying to get used to this car, and honestly, it is a tough beast to tame for sure. You have to have a very measured right foot, and even your left foot, if you're a left foot breaker, has to be dead on accurate. It does take a lot of time to kind of figure out here, but it looks like Matthew Klipp might be setting up Lombards for a pass, potentially here, at least before the end of the race with 9 to go. Scott Davison has actually went into the pits. There might be a little bit of a glitch there, and now he's going in. Okay. Right, Scott's sitting in 7th. These two are heading right up to him. You can see Sam Carpenter just kind of lurking in the background there for Danov Brantham. People trying to score points at this very, very tough race. Tom, careful. Can't make the move stick as Klipp and Lamberts actually swap positions there. Just ahead of the pair we were looking at. Oh, Lambert's running very wide. Those tires are starting to go away for sure. Matthew Klipp has been battling. And who is that on? Is that Scott Davison has come out on Ultra Softs. He's going to make Ultras last 8 laps. All right, then. Oh, Lambert's around. Into the wall. Gonna try to keep it going here. Might just be able to get away with it. Let's go on board and have a look. Oh, yeah, that car's got massive damage. Don't know if he'll make it to the end. You can see there's a bit of a tilt to the wheel there. Got some suspension damage for sure. Sounds like there's someone on the inside of him as well. Yes, there was. His teammate, Sergi, coming through to put him a lap down. But Sam Carpenter and Danov Brantham still fighting it out. And again, everyone is kind of spread out again. Carpenter just put a little bit of space between him and Danov. Trying to get the jump on Matthew Klipp here. DRS opens. Laps are ticking down. Carpenter might have the tire for this. Oh, he dives it. Oh, Klipp had no idea he was there. Klipp holding his line, though. Did not let himself be intimidated by anything. And the super softs of Sam Carpenter. I believe those were supers, right? Yeah. Holding well. They are still kind of fresh. They should be up to temperature now, but with 6 laps to go, he doesn't want to fry them. Just, I mean, completely boiler them. Wow. But Klipp is definitely holding his line. He has the harder compound for now. Carpenter will be trying to score a few more points, or a couple more points, to help out his Sabre squad mate of Philip Kraus. Kraus sitting in 4th at the moment. It honestly looks like he will be finishing there, as we now have 5 to go. Carpenter will be looking. Had to check up there. Didn't get the exit he wanted. He's got the DRS open. Looking for it. Turn 1, dives to the inside. Klipp lets him go. Nicely done. Klipp knew that he was faster. Or Klipp knew that Carpenter was faster, I should say, as Sam makes his way past and into 8th place. But now Matthew Klipp's going to find himself under attack here from Danov Brantham. Yeah, let's not go there. Honestly, this is pretty much the closest race that we have on the track here. Just a bit of a rundown here with 5 laps to go. We have Sergey Harass in the lead. Craig Baxter sitting 2nd place. Kieran Chadwick in 3rd. Phil Kraus grabbing 4th for now. Managing to hold on through this race, but I highly believe he will be passing out after this. Literally from exhaustion. As 5th place in Brandon O'Henlin, looking very good. 6th place is Jukapeka Lalu. Scott Davison rounding out 7th, as we have a pit caller very late on that. I think that's one of the back markers there. Couldn't quite see who that was. Can't quite make that one out. Scott Davison 7th place. Yeah, Sam Carpenter in 8th, whom we are looking at. Matthew Klipp sitting in 9th, which the camera is centered on at this point. And Danov Brantham sitting in 10th. All 3 of these drivers just trying to score some points. Danov wants more than 1, apparently. I don't blame him. Waiting to see what will happen here, but it looks like these guys are just going to keep it neat and tidy for now. 4 to go. I would assume that someone is going to go for a pass, and I have a definite feeling here that it's going to be Matthew Klipp. Take that back. 3 to go. My apologies. Sergi with a commanding lead makes his way through turn 1. Don't even see Craig Baxter on camera from here. Not far behind. He's got a car that he will have to contend with. And honestly, in 3 laps, I don't think he will be able to catch Sergey Harass, who is now leading the race. A couple of lead changes here as the race went on, but let's face it, it has been Sergey's to lose, honestly. There's Kieran Chadwick sitting in third. Now Kieran is actually sixth in the championship. I mentioned before he had 2 DNFs, and he missed 2 of the races, so this will be a good boost in points for him. He will not be catching Sam Carpenter, who is in front of him in 5th place in the points, so still, got to keep it steady. Kieran just trying to make his way through the season at this point, I believe. Philip Kraus, this is a monster drive for him. I keep mentioning this, but he's an absolute madman for racing in his current condition. And tell you what, 4th place for him is a great result. Now with 2 to go. Sergi had to contend with tire strategy. He had to contend with some fuel strategy there. And he even had to let the lead go. It's just the gap was not quite there to contain the lead there for the whole race, like we've seen him do before. But he played the strategy well. Did have to come into the pits twice, like everyone else. This track is just too brutal on the tire to make it last. Real quick, Danov, Matthew Klipp, they were looking very close. Klipp might try to make a pass here on Sam Carpenter. We'll keep an eye on that for you as we are in our final lap. Go on board, just see how buttery smooth. Now that the car is empty of fuel, Sergi Harras will have no problem making his way around this course. The Hungaroring, beautiful venue, but potentially one of the toughest tracks on the circuit, especially for such high speeds that we achieve here in such tight corners. Hard to get the setup right, but Sergi has done it this time. For the record, kind of asked Baxter about this before. Craig, dominated last season. He's the reigning champion. But he welcomes the challenge, and it's forcing Baxter into an improvement mode. Sergi has come in. He hasn't quite dominated, but he has shown that he's definitely got the speed to challenge for the championship. And speaking of championships, Sergi Harras makes his way around the final corner here at the Hungarian Grand Prix, and he crosses the line in 1st place, the winner. And well-deserved, I would say. Had to fight for it this time, but he manages it out. Craig Baxter grabbing 2nd place, and Kieran Chadwick in 3rd. Well done by Kieran, making his way to 3rd place. And Philip Kraus, the monstrous drive here for 4th, immediately escapes out. I don't blame him one bit. He's probably trying to get up out of his chair and into bed if he can. His arm's got to be jelly, but we're looking at Brandon O'Henlin here for 5th. And already the back markers have finished as they were a lap down. Lalu now in 6th. No longer under pressure here from Scott Davison. Davison just keeping him honest. Oh, Davison getting a little bit sideways there. A little bit crazy on the throttle. Davison manages to bring it home. Lalu in 6th. Davison in 7th. The monstrous drive from Davison. I believe he started from back of the grid. So good on him. Let's see. Gaining something 13 or 14 positions there. Matthew Klipp crosses the finish line. Down of Branthome now. Grabbing 10th place here from Mac Shepard. Danov makes that top 10 happen. Started 8th, but I think he'll take it. And so, the Hungarian Grand Prix concludes. A strategy-filled race for sure. And, you know, a lot of people were saying that there wasn't going to be a whole lot of action on this one. But, of course, there was plenty of action. Right. A little bit of housekeeping here for the AOR rFactor 2 Championship. I'm double checking the schedule because I believe we have the next couple of weeks off because of Christmas and New Year's. Just double checking that right now. Yes, December 15th is today for the Hungarian Grand Prix. So January 5th is when we will be returning here. Going to Spa. That's right. The Belgian Grand Prix will happen January 5th. That one is going to be a blast. I love Spa. A lot of the drivers love Spa. And it should make for some very interesting action going forward. And the championship really starting to heat up now. It is beginning to wind down. We got 6 more races to go. The big question right now is, can Sergi Haraz potentially take this championship, or will Craig Baxter be able to hold on? Baxter did what he had to do today and finish 2nd place. Not allow the gap to close up as much as possible. But Sergi is looking fast. We haven't seen him at a track like Spa yet. Everyone, stay tuned to the AOR channel. We have a ton more racing coming up this week in Silverstone Grand Prix for the F1 2018 Championships. And of course, always check out ApexOnlineRacing.com for all information. If you want to join in to the fun and the action, all the information can be found there. Tons of leagues and just a ton of content. Guys, it's been fun. I know we have had our technical issues today, but we will get those sorted. We have some plans in place to make this stream, well, let's just say we'll make it a whole lot better. Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you soon. This is Curtis Kenyon for Apex Online Racing.